The Scene projects are brought to you by these fine sponsors: Cliff Avenue Upholstery and Restoration, Chevy Girl Advertising and Booking, Sunny Radio, and SiouxFallsPodcast.com.
Welcome into a very exciting episode of The Scene. I am your host, Bubba Starts, and today I am joined by singer-songwriter Shalisa. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. I've already written about you on our online magazine. You were a guest in Deadwood, my hometown, for the Wild West Songwriters Festival. But before we get to that, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit of who and what you do?
My name is Shalisa. I like long walks on the beach. No, just kidding. I've been doing music for a long time, like 14 years professionally, but the last 4 years I've really kind of went a lot harder and more focused ever since COVID happened, and it's been paying off quite a bit. It's crazy how good you can get at your craft once you just set like an hour a day away for it. And I learned how to play guitar and do shows by myself. And then I added drums with my feet by myself, just kind of like a one-man band. And then I got a few more players, and now I have a trio that's doing really well. So I'm about 3.5 years in under my own name. I was always in bands, kind of let them run it. Didn't have control over my career. But now, since I've taken everything under my own wings, I'm excelling pretty quickly. And pretty proud of where I've gotten to so far. And I have a new single coming out on Friday.
Yes, you do.
A new production company. Yeah.
That's awesome. Name of the song again?
It's called Bad Hangover.
Yeah, I had one of those before.
One or two, hey?
Right. Well, I know that we're not friends for long, but I'm so proud of you. Just getting to meet you at the Wild West Songwriters Festival and kind of hearing a little bit of your story that you're sharing from the stage about, you know, being in those bands and in those things. And it takes a lot of courage to go out and do this for a living. I'm an artist myself. And I think it's even harder for our young women to get out there and do that. So very proud of you. And you're really out here inspiring more young ladies to get out and do it. I know you were inspired by some of the pop stars of yesteryear.
Yeah. I wanted to be Christina Aguilera.
I think a lot of girls did.
Yeah, she has monster vocals.
Well, and that's honestly, Shalisa, that's kind of something that we hit on a lot here, is that a lot of people, I'm assuming that we're probably around the same age. I'm closer to 40 than 30 now, but people who grew up in that time, a lot of us wanted to be rock stars, right? When you were getting the manufactured rock star, pop star fed to you, right? Like we all wanted that. And a lot of us kind of chased that dream out to, you know, Los Angeles or Nashville or all these things. But because of maybe the way that they looked and talent be darned, they weren't accepted into that, and they weren't really listened to. Can you talk about any kind of, I don't know, has there been any obstacles in these last 3.5 years that you had to overcome? I know things are going well, but it's not always the case.
You know, you're right. There's so many obstacles. So I think just a little bit of story, the music industry is up and down. It's never going to be always perfect, and it's never always going to be bad, but you have to be ready for those obstacles. And COVID hit and my band shut down back in Edmonton in Alberta. And then I moved out to Kelowna in BC. I didn't know anybody here. And so that's when I dove into my craft. But nobody knew me here. And so I had to start from ground zero again. And I had to learn all these instruments myself. So that was a big obstacle for me. I had to get over my fear of not being good enough on stage by myself, because I had a band usually. So now I'm doing it alone. And I had to really grow in that area and gain the confidence. I ended up playing for very cheap because I needed to practice like 4 to 5 days a week. And I ended up getting laryngitis a few times because I overworked myself and my vocals weren't ready. I wasn't doing warm-ups before my shows. So I had to learn. I kind of learned the hard way of everything. And when you lose your voice, you got to learn how do I do my show when I lose my voice, because the show must go on. I know you got to take time and care for yourself. Yes. But if your voice is a little raspy, you're not going to cancel a show. That's going to look bad on your street cred, I guess.
Well, and beyond
so,
that, when you're feeding yourself in this profession that way, you can't afford to take a day off, whether you're sick or not. We don't get sick days out here.
Yeah, you kind of got to learn how to take care of it so it doesn't get as bad, and then move forward. Like I've been battling laryngitis with my sickness for the last 3 weeks, but I only canceled 3 shows, and I've had probably 10 within, like, as well, on top of the 3 I canceled in the last 3 weeks. And so it's like I trained my voice to be able to withstand the pressure because I'm singing properly. I've also been warming up and cooling down. And these are things I've learned over the years of how to have longevity with what I do and withstand the sickness. So yes, you got to take care of yourself, but there's different ways to take care of yourself while you're already healthy as well.
One event that we do yearly, and just to kind of touch on this, because I know a tired voice, I had to cancel my last show of the Sturgis rally, just this last rally. So in Deadwood and around the Black Hills, we have about 1 million bikers show up every year, 500,000, whatever. It doubles the size of the state, right? So there's plenty of shows, and anybody who, you know, it's the one time a year that, like, you could play twice a day, every day if you wanted to. And I've done that sometimes, but I always end up, you know, just completely wrecked at the end of it. And that's kind of what happened this year, where the first show I did was in the Deadwood Tobacco Company. Loved the venue. Their air exchange was broken. So it's already a smoky area when it's working. But now I walked in, it looked like a Cheech and Chong concert. And it's all thick, heavy tobacco smoke. I had 3 fans blowing on like a 1 cubic foot in front of the microphone where I had clean air to breathe, right? And then that one show just completely wrecked me. I had like 7-8 shows in a row. Oh, you know what I mean? 7-8 days in a row. And by the last one, I was going back to the tobacco company. I'm like, look, buddy, it's not happening. Like I can hardly talk, you know? So yeah, I understand that. And I haven't learned yet. I've been doing it the hard way without the warm-ups and the teardowns, and just to rely on that, you know, natural God-given talent. And my voice hates me because of it. That's why I'm a podcaster now.
I totally didn't know about the warm-up, like the warm-ups and the cool-downs, and how, like, I knew about them, but I was like, I'm fine, because I can sing, right? You kind of have a little bit of this ego. You got to take the ego out of there. And I was losing my voice a little bit because I'm in a rock band as well. And I was really giving it, and the band is loud. So I got to give it a little bit harder. So it's just harder on my vocals. And I'm tired because I'm pretty much doing cardio and singing the whole night. And I went to a Big Sugar concert, and my friend is second cousins with the lead singer. So we went to the backstage or whatever. And I got to ask him a few questions because he needed a minute in the change room before he came out. And he's like, sorry, I was just doing my cool down. And so I was like, oh, cool downs. I've always heard of warm ups, but cool downs. He's like, honestly, cool downs have saved my voice so many times that he can't even count. Like when you're training in the gym, it's just the same as that. So you warm up, you go hard at the gym, and then you got to do a cool down because your muscles need that break. Same with your voice. Your voice is a muscle. So warming up and cooling down is actually so important, and we kind of take it for granted a little bit. So now I'm doing them, and they're changing my whole game.
I think that's great. You know, a lot of our listeners are, you know, artists that have either been on the show or are going to be on the show. And I love that that's kind of our listener base, because what ends up happening is that this becomes like a tips and tricks session every show.
Yeah.
Oh, well, fantastic. We're going to have to get some links for you and get the Shalisa routine, and we'll make that official scene, reading that one needs to do. It's the official warm-up of the scene projects now. So you got a new song coming out this weekend. I'm sure you got a big show planned. Is there any, I know you were just on the phone with your doctor too. Are you a little bit nervous about, or you got a big show coming up with the release as well?
Yeah, it's a 2-hour show, and I have, a friend coming in and doing a few songs to open up the show. And then I'm going to do a few new songs, like just by myself, which is, I'm not really worried about singing alone. I think it's harder to sing when you have other people playing with you because it just gets louder, and you got to make sure you can hear yourself better, so you don't lose your voice.
Do you use in-ear monitors?
I do sometimes. It depends on the show.
That's the one thing that I started using in the last 12 months that has completely changed mine. Because I would do the same thing. I would usually just have the floor monitors, and I'm in a rock band, right? I'm out screaming all night for 4 hours. I'm the only singer in the band, right? So by the end of, a weekend shows, you're like, oh, I just blew my vocals out for 7-8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so. In your monitors, like my rock band, there's no way I would be in the rock band if I didn't have those.
No,
there's so loud.
And another lesson for you young singers out there: get in your monitors, warm up, cool down, take care of your voice. Don't smoke cigarettes. That's probably a good start. Don't smoke anything's probably better. I don't always always hold to that one, but once you start using it and it becomes your profession, you have to treat it differently. Can you verify?
Yeah, no, totally. And I wish I knew that when I was younger. But yeah, the show this Friday, I'm not worried about. My lungs are slowly getting better. I talked to my doctor today and they've already been better since yesterday. And it's only because I have asthma as well. So I think that's what's keeping my lungs not as tip top as they should be, but going to be better. And I'm sure by Friday they'll be fine. And then I have 2 shows the next day. Those ones I'm a little bit more worried about. It's a longer show, but the Friday show, I'm really excited because I'm also doing a video premiere of my music video for Bad Hangover at the venue. So it won't be released that day. So unfortunately people can't see it that day, but I will be releasing it shortly after Friday. But I'm really excited about it because I produced and edited the whole thing. I'm also acting in it. And my friend Jonathan kind of took my direction on the filming of where we were going to go and what I wanted in my vision. And the story came together so well, and I'm so proud of this music video.
Right, very invested in the production of the video. I love it.
Yeah, it's another way to be creative, and I think as a creative singer songwriter, I think it's very important to dive into any kind of creative avenues, whether it's like cooking, painting, songwriting. I think you should just always be creating somewhere.
Creative endeavors, I think, are the spice of life, right? Like that's the human experience.
Yeah.
Well, a new song, a new music video that you produced all yourself, overcoming, asthma your whole life, I'm probably assuming. Every other obstacle that's been put in front of you, you just keep jumping and climbing over every single thing. I guess if you couldn't go over it, you'd probably go around it or under it. Shalisa, you're going to find a way, aren't you?
Just right through it,
Yeah. Well, you're a force. I was really blown away by you at the Wild West Songwriters Festival. And like I wrote in the article, which everybody can check out on thesceneprojects.com and get to know Shalisa a little bit more. But it was the storytelling that you were doing that really drew me in. Like I had heard you sing and was like, oh, that's, but when you started because nobody else can tell your story, right? And because for whatever reason, women are underrepresented in our field. We need to hear those stories. So I was really blown away by your vulnerability up there and the humbleness to, just to be the hot girl, but also be the super talented one and blow the doors off the Saloon Number 10 was pretty awesome.
Well, thank you.
So I said
in my one story there, that one guy wasn't really paying attention to my music. He just wanted my number.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately that's the experience of many women in this field.
It's another obstacle, right?
It's another obstacle that every one of you has to overcome that none of us men will ever understand that, right? We're never going to have that. And that's why I'm so thrilled. And we really pump up our young ladies out here. We got a young girl, Alyssa Kaiser, who's just phenomenal, a young 22, maybe 21. But getting out here, producing all of her own music, playing her own shows, and just absolutely crushing it. And it's like, we want to pave the way and make that way as easy as possible for these young women because they are the future. Those are the stories that haven't been told. And I think more than like, more than a podcast, we're like archivists of these stories and all of these things. And that's kind of our purpose, is to capture these and to tell them, because that's how we grow as people.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
No. Well, I am so glad that you jumped on the show today. go ahead and plug the website and all the stuff. Obviously, most of our listeners are out here in the Midwest, and we're not in the Pacific Northwest, but our reach is growing, and you just never know. So go ahead and plug away.
My Instagram is the.only.Shalisa, and my Facebook is Shalisa Orange Crush, and my TikTok is also my Instagram, so they're the same. Mainly because I want to be the only Shalisa. Finally using my own name as an artist name rather than a band name. When you got a cool name, you got to use it, right?
You don't have to tell me.
Those are my handles. That's right. But yeah, those are my handles, and just thank you for having me on here. I know I'm not as funny as I normally am because I am a little sick, and every time I laugh, I cough. So
no, well, and next time we're gonna catch you when you're feeling a lot better, and I really hope that we're able to find you some gigs out here so you can come back and visit us real soon.
Yeah, I did have a few people asking me to come back. The Landmark Casino and the outdoor stage that you have.
Outlaw Square. Yeah, good. Well, if they're going to get you back, we're definitely going to, we pay close attention to their lineup. They got the dough and the hotel rooms to bring you in and take care of you. So we'll let them bring you across. And then once you get here, we'll drag you across the state to play for some of our other South Dakotans. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
We'll build a little Midwest tour for you, Shalisa. Thanks so much for being part of the scene.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. Remember to follow The Scene Projects on all your social media channels and get even more content at thesceneprojects.com.